Hello again, everybody. This is episode 4 of On the Raritan. I'm your host, Peter Slattery. We're here to talk about what we love, and what we love is Rutgers Survivor. Now, before we start anything, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, is that we are missing someone. We are missing Max right now, and that is okay because he is extremely busy doing stuff for season 2, because as you guys know, as we announced previously, he is the president of the new e-board. Me and Adam are no longer affiliated with Rutgers since we graduated, and we're moving on, to our own thing. So he's going to be busy doing that today. And actually, ironically, they're watching the audition videos, I think, today. So as of this recording today, they're watching the season 2 audition videos. So that means season 2 is up and running. It's off the ground. They're watching the videos. They're going to be getting a cast together. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And if you want to help on season 2, it is definitely not too late. Just send a message to our Instagram, to our Facebook, to our whatever. Email us. Let us know, hey, I'd love to help with Rutgers Survivor. And I'm sure Max and the rest of the team will get that to you. So as I mentioned before, Max is in here. I am now in the workforce. And Adam, I kind of want to let you say, where are you right now, since Rutgers is kind of a part of our histories now?
Yeah, it's still a little bit of an adjustment not being around Rutgers anymore. But as you can see just by my general background from previous episodes, I'm back on Long Island this weekend. But I've been spending most of my time in New York City, as I am now a grad student at Columbia University. So that's been incredible. It's a sport management program, so right up my alley. And just being able to say that I'm at an Ivy League school getting a master's degree, that caliber of education has been really cool, to say the least.
That's honestly awesome. I know once we graduated Rutgers, we had other stuff we needed to get done, and I'm just so happy that you're having a good time, and I'm having a good time at work. But with
now we're old geezers that just get to talk about this.
Yeah, pretty much, at least for this year. I think I haven't announced this yet, but we're probably going to give this podcast to somebody else so they can take care of it, because 2 30-year-olds talking about season 12 of Rutgers Survivor probably isn't the best thing. So but that's something else. We're here to talk about episode 4, and in my personal opinion, this was kind of a very straightforward episode. I think all of the nerves that these contestants have been feeling up until this point are pretty much completely gone. You can sense it in the video. They are extremely comfortable with saying how they feel in the confessional, what their plans are. They're extremely comfortable interacting with each other, trying to outmaneuver them strategically. So yeah, that's my perspective on that, at least coming into this episode, and just the overall, feel of it. Did you have anything you'd like to say on that?
No, I definitely felt that, and that's also by virtue of the stage of the game that we're in, because first 2 episodes, it's tribal lines, like teams, they barely even interact with players on the other team. Then the merge, episode 3, I mean, some of them were still meeting each other for the first time, of holding their cards to their chest, a lot of bluffing strategically. And now I believe this week and the weekend we did episode 3 and 4 was a double shoot. So we filmed episode 3 on Saturday, episode 4 on that next day, that Sunday. And maybe they were also still in game mode a little bit more than they were from previous shoots. But I think they were, you're right, very much more invested into the game, into each other, into being willing to show their personality on camera, all of the above.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. And thanks for bringing that up, because I completely forgot. Yeah, we did have a couple, I think maybe 2 double shoot weekends. And
I believe there was one other, yeah.
Yeah, and it changes the pace of the game, because usually how these things work is, we get together, at least up until this point, we get together, we record for that 3, maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then they're gone. They exist each contestant just exists in their own world, and then they come back after experiencing, college for a week or 2, and then they come back and record, But with this, it was literally, okay, Joe left yesterday, and now we have to pick up the pieces and keep going. There's no breaks. So in that realm, I really like it. And that's a very important thing to bring up now, is kind of where are we at in this game? And as it stands right now, at least in the beginning, it does not look too good for Kevin and for Jack. I mean, Gia flipped at the end of episode 3, and that kind of sent everything into a frenzy. Joe left. So really, it's going to be Kevin and Jack that are left in this. And that brings us, I think, well into, the immunity challenge, honestly, because The pre immunity challenge part of the episode is very cut and dry. I mean, everyone is pretty much just saying we got to split the votes between Kevin and Jack. We don't care which one has an idol. Even if they do, it doesn't matter. One of them's going home. I don't know. Did you have anything about the pre immunity challenge, or is that pretty much it?
I think that's pretty much it. The only other notable aspect of it, and I think this was in the final edit, you asking Kevin how he felt, and you could still see like the anger and disappointment in his answer, just the fact that his game was reduced to the numbers that it was at that point, and you could see the disappointment. But that's one of the key things about this whole thing. And I know we've probably sounded like a broken record from the previous episode of recording this, but that's how great this opportunity was. Like for them to someone who, especially like Kevin, super fan of reality TV and the main series, wanting to really thrust himself into the game, and you saw how real it was for him. So I just have to point that out. But I mean, even regardless of the outside circumstances and what it could mean, that's really the only notable thing to happen before the challenge, in all honesty, from what I saw.
Yeah, and it just it keeps feeling more real. The more and more time that these contestants spend together, the more and more time we record and interact with them, it feels less and less like Survivor done at Rutgers and more just like Survivor. And that's honestly, it was so much fun being a part of behind the scenes. I'm sure you can contest to that. And I can also contest to that being the host. It was just, you could feel the energy more and more, and you just got so much more involved. Now,
absolutely. And well, real quick, to touch on that point of everyone being closer, I guess, connection wise, this is something that we found out after, I believe. But Kevin and Jack, they were like that. I mean, turns out they had a class together that semester, and they found out, I believe, right before that weekend. So like
they became really good friends, and which is just honestly awesome to see that, you know, this little club that we started, you know, created a friendship and hopefully many more lasting friendships and much more moving on. But now I think, because that, like we said, that's pretty much all that happened pre-immunity challenge. We're going to talk about the immunity challenge, and an interesting aspect of this immunity challenge was, for the first time, potentially nobody could have been immune, because for those of you who remember, the immunity challenge was you had to solve a puzzle within 5 minutes, and if nobody finished the puzzle, nobody got immunity. And obviously the person who finished the fastest wins. And I loved who finished it and how fast they finished it, because it couldn't have been better for a story. And I know people say, oh, Survivor is scripted. It felt, when I was sitting there, like it was scripted, but it wasn't. So the immunity challenge goes, and what is it? Because there's 7 left, right? I keep messing this up.
Yeah.
4, I said 8. There's actually 7. I apologize. We fixed that. The energy was just so high, I kept making mistakes. But 4 of the contestants did not complete the puzzle. 3 did, and those 3 were Logan, Jack, and Matt. And I mean, what an incredible 3 to finish, because these at this point are kind of like the main players that we're trying to focus the story around at this point. And so we get to the puzzle. You know, each of them are taking their turns. And while they're taking their turns, you know, I'm very happy I decided to do this. I decided to record kind of like what people were thinking, seeing other people go up. And I mean, Matt's kind of confessionals here are just, they're so funny. They're like, the fact that he had to wait in like pain and suffering and see every single person go before him, and nobody could say what the challenge was. I mean, unless they texted each other, but we didn't know. But like, he was just sitting there in agony, like, please just let me get this over with. Because he just wanted to get it done as fast as possible and complete. And so eventually we find out that Logan completed it, Jack completed it, and Matt completed it. Logan completed it at like 4-something minutes. Jack,
it was 4:37, something like that.
And
and Jack and Matt, they were only about 13 to 14 seconds apart. And also keep in mind, we were also the most short-staffed we were from a crew perspective. I just want to mention that. So you were recording everything from the inside. It's actually very similar to how it was right now, just you and me running the host show.
There were literally 2 people there. It was me, who was hosting, and Adam. And you might be wondering, well, how then do you get shots where you're talking to 2 different angles at the same time with 1 camera person? And that was a problem you have to figure out. But luckily, I think we pulled it off.
Yeah.
And it did well. And thanks to you. We could not have done it without you, Adam. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Like I said, in that challenge, like just you were inside kind of also recording. I didn't even know you did that initially, which was a great touch, obviously. But that was also to keep an eye on everyone because we can't have people strategizing, talking where we can't see because we also are trying to tell a story and cohesive thing here. So I'm just outside waiting near that table. We set up right outside Tillett Hall, where all you have to do is turn the corner. And I'm waiting individually for everyone to do it. And I'm out there for a while because if everyone gets up to 5 minutes, that's potentially a little over a half-hour time block if everyone takes their full time. And that's basically what everyone did. As we said, 4 people timed out. Logan was very close to timing out. And Jack and Matt were neck and neck, only about a minute and a half each. And I'm going to spoil the winner of the challenge right now.
Yeah, you can.
In that Matt was the last one to go, and the one who was able to pull it off, beating Jack's time by 12, 13 seconds. And like you said, couldn't have scripted it any better if we tried.
If we tried to script it, it wouldn't have worked as well because just him being in there and being like, I just want to go. And the fact that he went last and won the challenge, it was just awesome to see.
And he didn't even know he won it. He was so surprised that he even completed it. Like you saw, like we kept it in the final ad, just like his whole reaction, like saying he felt like he was in that Marvel movie as he was finishing it. I mean, that's like the pure excitement just for completing the puzzle. Once again, shows how great this game was for so many people.
And how many memories they made. It was honestly just incredible. But I guess moving past that, because like we said, Matt wins, and it's incredible to think if Jack won, what would have potentially happened? Because they could have, we're going to move into this eventually, but Kevin has mentioned in previous episodes and in this one that he has a fake idol. Could they have swindled people into not voting for Kevin? Maybe. But unfortunately, Matt wins, and that leads us right into the scramble. And unfortunately for Jack and Kevin, it seems a little cut and dry in the moment. But actually, wait, I have one more thing to say about the challenge. Because I want to be very transparent with you guys. We're obviously figuring things out as we go. And if anyone ever does a challenge like this ever again, make sure that even if a person completes the challenge, you have them wait the full 5 minutes. Because we did not do that. We didn't even think of that. Hold on. Sorry. I just tested positive for COVID. It's really bad. I'm recovering. But anyway, what is it? Okay. Oh, I should mention I tested positive for COVID. I've been in 5 days in isolation. Do not worry. I'm not like yesterday and now I'm like out and about. Don't worry. Anyway, going back to this. When Jack completed the challenge in that minute 37, he came right back. And I suddenly realized like, oh crap, they now know roughly what his time was because all these other people came back who didn't complete the challenge after 5 minutes. And here you have Jack walking in there after a minute 40, and you're like, oh, well, okay, he won. So, but thankfully, Matt kind of saved us with that and he pulled it out. And he won. And yeah, so I think now's a good time to kind of just go into the scramble, wouldn't you say? So now that we're done talking about the immunity challenge, because we know Matt won, we're now going to talk into the scramble. And like I said before, unfortunately, it is pretty cut and dry for Kevin and Jack. At the moment, there really doesn't look like there's any much wiggle room that they can do. However, they do try to do something. And Adam, do you want to kind of talk about what they tried to do?
Yeah, if there was no lack of effort, it was clear that they were really trying to target Asi and Gia to try to get the girls to flip again and get a numbers advantage back in their favor by using Kevin's idol, real, fake, whatever you want to interpret it as. He was presenting it as a real, obviously, but to try to get them to somehow, some way, get the numbers advantage back. And from what we saw in real time, it was as good of a pitch as I think they could have given, because let's be perfectly honest here. The numbers would be on their side a lot, and Jack and Kevin their backs were against the wall. So I don't blame them for trying to throw anything at the wall and see what sticks. But it felt like, honestly, a very logical argument as well, because Kevin, I believe, was making the argument that the other 3 guys would just stick together, wouldn't want twins at the end, and you never know. That could be a very valid point. So that was really the only swing that I saw them take during that scramble. But I do think it was very notable as well.
Yeah, I just to give more detail on that, basically what Kevin and Jack were pitching was from their perspective, Ashi and Gia weren't really loyal to Werblin that much. They were more just loyal to each other. So they figured
Yes.
if they could get Ashi and Gia together with them and make a block of four, they can pick off the other three, which would have been John, Matt, and Logan. And then it would be them four battling it out. And at that point, each of them would kind of have, more recognizable or kind of like equal games. Because at this point, even just starting, Jack, it's hard to hear, but he does mention, like, I think he says Logan's just going to win. So like already we're starting to see like, okay, what players are like becoming more on the forefront of who could potentially win. And ultimately, I think that their pitch might have worked if they just, I don't know, were more confident in a certain sense, or just not tried a little bit harder. But you know what I'm saying? Like, because they
Yeah.
were a little wishy-washy when the sisters said, okay, who would you want to get out? And they said, we don't know. Well, how could you not know if you have you know what I mean? Like,
I think they were just too scared to say anything. They didn't want to give away their target. And that's an understandable concern, but you're right. They probably needed to.
It's you're in between a rock and a hard place. And if they really feel like they're going home either way, throwing out Logan's name or Matt's name or John's name probably would have benefited them more than them not doing it and risking that. So ultimately, yeah, what we end up seeing is, like I said, they make the pitch, and the girls are kind of like, they're really just like kind of like comedically listening. Like they're not really taking their pitch seriously, but they listen to them, and we cut then to a shot of, excuse me, sorry, really bad. We cut to a shot of John, Logan, and Matt, and they're just like, I'm not worried. Like Gia keeps looking over there, looking at us like this is ridiculous. Like nothing's gonna happen. So ultimately, right before the scramble, it does not seem like their pitch really worked, because no one seems worried. We even get the confessional from John that says, I know you're not supposed to say this, but this is the easiest tribal council ever, which is probably what you want to be hearing if you're Jack or Kevin. But when you're an audience member, it's good to have these episodes, where it's pretty cut and dry where things could land. Did you have anything else regarding to the scramble that you thought was notable?
Honestly, the only other thing was that it was so hard to even allow them to break up into more than two little groups. Somehow, they took it upon themselves to where it wasn't really as necessary, but we only had two cameras. Remember that, you and me. So honestly, I'm just more amazed that we were able to pull it off without interfering with anything accidentally. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah, that is a really hard thing to do, especially when you're the host, because obviously I'm gonna have biases of who I think is playing the game well, who I think is not playing the game well, who I want to see win, who I want to see go home, and you have to be very, very careful in not letting those biases show up. And first of all, and the worst part of that could be potentially influencing the game. One slip of the tongue, and I reveal who has the idol, and that would change the entire game. You know what I mean? Because now we know that Matt has the idol now. But if I let the contestants know that, then there goes a huge chunk of the game on me, and that's game interference. So exactly what Adam said, that was what we were trying to balance. And with two people, it was hard, but I think we did a good job. We got some good content, and Max, once again, edited it together. So thank you, Max, even though you're not here. And it was amazing.
Oh, and I do want to mention, as we transition into talking about Tribal later, Joe came in big. He helped us out just to film Tribal, because
that is right. I feel so bad. I'm sorry, Joe. Yeah, Joe actually,
he gets the special thanks.
Yeah, special thanks to Joe. So generally, if you're familiar with the normal TV show Survivor, the people who are eliminated get to witness Tribal, kind of just to see like what things are going on, and how interactions are played and who they might want to vote for at the end of the game when there's a jury. However, we always gave that offer to people who were eliminated. However, most of the time they said, it's not really worth it for me to come down for 2 hours and just spend 15 minutes to be in the background. We totally understood, but we always gave them the option. And luckily, Joe offered to film Tribal Council, and we deemed that fair because, as we said before, previous people who were voted out, they're allowed to attend Tribal anyway. So as long as he just films Tribal, and we want to reiterate that, he only filmed Tribal, so he was not a part of the Scramble. He was not a part of the Immunity Challenge. He only filmed Tribal. We thought that was fair. And once again, special thanks to Joe, because at that point, we did have more camera people, and it made it a little easier. And with that, I think that leads us greatly into Tribal Council. But before we talk about Tribal Council, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we have another special guest. And I'm not going to say anything. I'll explain when we get back who that person is. But I hope you enjoy this quick break, and we will be right back. And John, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great, Peter.
It's good to hear. Glad you're having fun. Glad you're enjoying it. With that said,
Can I say something?
sure, say it.
I'm just looking at this. Would you rather have someone who's feeling great in the game, like these three have said, or someone who has no shot at winning, no power in the game right now?
Or take someone to the end who has an underdog story and friends on the journey.
Oh, really big underdog. Everyone hates us. Yeah, one guy.
You're an underdog. The odds are against you right now. It's 5-2. So yeah,
That's
if you
not
did
an
make
underdog
final
move.
tribal, that is commendable.
If he actually made it to the end, that would be
Yeah, so
amazing.
Yeah, it's not. You're also you're not gonna get any votes. You just say this.
you have your friend Joe. You have Boston Green, who hates all of us.
And
You have
us.
May, who is on your
You
tribe.
literally
And then
yelling at him about a freaking baseball.
one of you is going home. I'll even say I'll be the fourth vote then. If you make final
That's
tribal
great.
against all odds, you have my vote.
It's great.
Interesting. Before we vote, anybody else have a last piece they want to say?
I'm feeling even more great, Peter.
I'm happy for you, John. All right. With that being said, Matt, time to vote. All right, everybody. We are back with On the Raritan, episode 4, and we have our special guest, and they are going to reveal themselves right now.
Yo!
Says surprise, it's not Jack. We reached out to him. He declined. So we brought on one of my best high
The
school
next
friends,
best thing. The next
Lewis. Now, okay, there is a reason why he's here. Not just because he's my friend, not just nepotism. Don't worry. The reason he is here is because he has been an avid fan of Survivor for a very long time. He's been watching this season for a really long time, and he's even competed on another school season of Survivor, which has yet to air. So he is helping us a lot here, getting that perspective from kind of like a watcher, a viewer. So Lewis, thank you so much for being on. And yeah, so
I'm so happy I'm here. Like, thank you guys for having me here. I'm so excited to talk about Rutgers Survivor. It's awesome, and I love it so far. So yeah.
yeah, all right, perfect. And I guess to start, how have you enjoyed the season as a whole so far?
I've enjoyed it a lot, actually. I think, like, from a fan strategic view, I think it's really fun seeing especially twins compete and like
Mhm.
having that. I think that's been like the most interesting part for me is like seeing siblings like not agree on everything. And I think that's a kind of interesting perspective. And I think it's also cool because there's such few players already. So there's a lot more strategy to talk about. So I love the strategy part of it. That's always my favorite part of Survivor. So it's been really fun and enjoyable to watch that for sure.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic having the twins on. And I guess because you are a viewer, and you're very much detached from this, all you see is the final products of everything that we've done and recorded.
That's true. I know
Are you
nothing.
rooting for certain people? Are you rooting against, or are you disappointed when some people went home so far? What are you thinking?
Oh, so far the boot order, I'm okay with.
Okay.
Boston Green, I will say, I think there was more to him. I feel like he was entertaining. That was a loss, but I
Yeah.
will say at the moment, my money to win, I think Matt has a really good chance of winning. I think that's who I'm keeping my eye out. I think he's in a really good position. I'm rooting for him too. I feel like he's a really well-rounded player. I'm rooting for that guy. And on an entertainment level, you have to give it to John. I'm sorry, but he is
Yeah.
the most entertaining player of the season. Like, he's really bringing in like a different energy, which I like. So yeah.
Mhm.
There's definitely a lot of game left to be played, but it's interesting because obviously people now, 4 or 5 episodes in, they're having their winner picks. So that's a really interesting perspective. And so I guess the only other thing left is because, like I mentioned, you played on your school college's Survivor.
Yeah.
So I guess how does it feel seeing, like people, like another college Survivor having played on a different one?
Yeah. Well, I love it. I really do love the fact that you guys are actually having episodes aired. No shade to BU, but honestly, shade to BU Survivor. I'm gonna plug it out. There's no episodes aired. I was filmed for a semester. Where's my season? I was, things like that. But it's really good to see that there's an actual like season being aired. And it's cool. I think it's a different thing. It's very niche. Whenever I tell people I did like Survivor at college, they're always like, what the hell? Like I've never
Yeah,
even
what
thought
is
of
that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's I feel like you build those connections really deep. Like one of my best friends is I met from the show. We're still really close. So, but yeah, I love watching another school do it. And there's always like different perspective and takes. And I feel like just the environment's also really cool too. So
Yeah, and I do have
Mhm.
to say though, the only reason episodes I don't think are getting out is just because it's very difficult to find editors who are
Yeah.
super passionate about the show and who will do this for free. Because
Yeah.
obviously,
Mhm.
there's not much budget to do anything, let alone pay someone to pretty much, you're asking someone to edit or a team to edit a TV show. So if they
Exactly.
are struggling to find someone like that, I don't think that's really their fault at all. It's really hard. And we were just really fortunate enough to have Max edit the first 4 episodes. And now, surprise, surprise, since Max is starting, season 2 of Rutgers Survivor, I'm actually editing probably the rest of the season.
Go. Let's go.
So
You
yeah,
guys
I
don't
don't know if
understand.
no one's
Peter
announced
is
it
a
yet, but
fire editor,
so
bro.
the
No one
episode
understands.
for
Fine.
episode 5, we're gonna get into episode 4 in the scramble. I just want to lay
Okay.
down episode 5. It might feel a little different. If it's bad, blame me, and if it's good, blame me. You know what I mean?
Look, it's like the old era versus the new era. You're gonna be
But in the
like
same season.
41 to
So-
46.
Literally.
That's
And then
episode
here
5.
I am just yeah, and then here I am just kind of like giving input here and there. Same thing I did with Max. Like I'm doing nothing different, so I'm chilling.
But that's enough about episode 5. I just want to make it very clear that finding an editor is
I
really
agree.
hard, and you have to be really lucky that they love Survivor, want to
Yeah.
do this for free,
Yeah,
and they have
yeah.
good editing skills.
I agree.
So-
and I
And
think
Lewis,
that's
correct me if
really cool.
I'm Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said at Boston, it's a pretty popular club there, right? There's a lot more
Yeah.
competitors, more people on the crew.
Really
So even
popular.
regardless of how many people may or may not be editing, I mean, it's also a lot harder to edit when you have that many more people
Right.
and clips and footage to worry about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time now. We've thank you, Lewis, for all your input regarding what you've seen, and you're going to continue to give it to us as we talk about the rest of
Oh,
episode
of
4.
course, of course.
We are moving into the scramble. No, not the scramble. We are moving into the tribal, and this was a pretty good tribal. It was pretty casual up until the point where Kevin decided to make his final pitch to the rest of the members. And Adam, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I can try. I think, man, I don't even know where to start. I mean, that whole tribal, you could, and this is the biggest criticism I have on myself, because we mentioned the audio quality with the wind earlier. I was probably one of the bigger hindrances to that, because I was laughing my you-know-what off behind the camera basically the entire time. There was one moment later on, which we'll get into, which I was hysterically laughing behind the camera, and like I was wheezing. I couldn't stop.
I don't thought much of that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Lewis knows, but like I don't remember.
As a viewer, I didn't hear anything. As
Yeah,
a
no.
viewer,
So
Okay,
don't worry.
that honestly
You're
makes
good,
me
man.
feel a lot better.
Yeah,
as an
But
avid
that
viewer,
that goes to show the level of entertainment I think we were getting when that happened. And in terms of Kevin's pitch more specifically, like you saw, it was getting very confrontational, not necessarily out of malice, but pure survival, because Kevin and Jack knew that one of them most likely would be going home that tribal, and Kevin, especially Kevin, but Jack too, doing everything they can, throwing anything against the wall, from scramble or pulling out idols, just seeing what they could do to try to survive that round. And you saw, I think, a lot of the back and forth was between Kevin and John, if I'm remembering correctly, but it was really funny to see, because I remember them going over like who on the jury would vote for Kevin at any given point, and just a lot of chaos right up to the vote. And I think that's the best way to sum it up.
Yeah, and just to give more kind of like structure to what he actually said, basically how the tribal
Yeah.
we did not like enforce this at all. Ashi and Gia sat together, Kevin and Jack sat together, and John, Logan, and Matt were in the middle. So it was a really ironic seating position how they were. And like I want to reiterate, we didn't make them sit that way. They just walked in and sat down like that. So Kevin tried to take the opportunity, like Adam said, a little confrontational, but not out of malice, more just out of like, please, this is my last hope. Listen to me. He basically just tried to say, look, those three feel really good in the game and they know they're going far. Why would you go with them when you can go with people who know they might lose? That being Kevin and Jack and Ashi and Gia. Why don't we team together, get them out, and just run down the rest of the game and we'll survive? But ultimately, John kind of refuted it. You know, he just said, listen, you know, if one of you gets to the final tribal, you know, you're going to have the other to vote for you. You're going to have a May to vote for you. And you're definitely going to have Boston Green because he is not voting for a War Room member. So, you know, it was kind of like this back and forth. But ultimately, I think it was Kevin's just last pitch effort. And it just didn't work out. And that leads us into the vote. And right before the vote off, we had another really key moment. And I don't know, Lewis, do you want to talk about what Jack did here right before the votes were read?
Wait, didn't he like, correct me if I'm wrong, did he like try with like a fake idol? Or
yes, he played a fake idol.
Okay.
Yes, our viewer knows what's going on. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, he played that fake handmade spray painted
oh man, that was rough.
On the back that said immunity idol real, please, or something like that. And he slipped me $20.
Yeah, so that's the part. Yeah, that's the part I couldn't stop laughing at. He put money in it, and remember, I'm recording like this, like on all the contestants, so I can't even turn my head realistically to see what's going on. All I knew is that there was a fake and a lot of laughing in the background. I didn't even know until afterwards that he put a 20 in there. So that's the part that I was like I was wheezing. Like I was like, come on, I was dying, and I didn't even have the full story.
Jack was kind of blocking the shot, but yeah, he slipped to 20, and I just said, you know, per my contract, I can't take bribes, so I gave it back to him.
Oh, yeah.
I quote, because Jeff says all the time when a fake idol is played, this is a work of art, but it's not an idol. So I wanted to play on that and be like, I can't even say it's a work of art. It's not the idol. But it was funny. It was kind of like, you know, it was Jack and Kevin's last grasp at something. And ultimately, I really just kind of think they fumbled the bag because they might have been able to swindle some people and say, you know, look, I have this idol. We even see that a little bit in the scramble when they try to offer Ashi and Gia the fake idol.
I just don't think they were believable. Like, I think that's the whole issue. It's like they were not convincing. Like, as a viewer, like you want them to like try, and like it was just so obvious that one of them was going home and they knew it. And like it was like, man, there was no getting out. Like,
but at least they had fun with it, you know, and it was fun to see because some people wanted Kevin to go home. Some people wanted Jack to go home. So it was kind of interesting to see which one of those two did. And obviously I literally just spoiled that one of them went home. But I mean, at this point in the episode, you kind of see, especially after the idol gets played, it's pretty cut and dry. But yeah, Adam, do you want to talk about the final votes about what everything turned out to be?
Yeah, so Jack, to spoil if it wasn't already, he was the one who went home, and there I believe it was a 3-2-2 split. So 3 votes on Jack, and then Kevin got 2 and Logan got 2. Kevin and Jack voting for Logan, obviously. So first off, I was actually pleasantly surprised at the level of strategic gameplay. I wasn't expecting like some random split vote at like a final 7 there. Yeah, it just I don't think there's really much else to say about the vote itself other than you knew that the writing was on the wall for one of them. And obviously with Jack playing that fake idol, he obviously knew, but at least he was having a good time with it, as you said. And it sucks to see him go that way because I think when you have a moment that entertaining, you don't want that person to leave. So if anything, that may have brought people watching who wanted him out maybe back on his side, but it was too little too late.
Either way, I think though the who voted who, I actually don't think really mattered because it was obviously that the 5 presented a united front against Jack and Kevin. So
now I'm curious, it's like, is that 5 going to stay strong? And like,
and that is an interesting question because obviously now the easiest vote next time is if Kevin doesn't get immunity, it's obviously Kevin, but that always
it's not going to be him though. I'm telling it's like, I feel like everything always switches up. It's Survivor.
You never know, and that's why you got to keep watching.
I know.
It always opens up that age-old question though. Well, okay, once the enemy is gone, there's 5 of us left. What are we going to do? Not 5
And
people.
who are the
Can't
people
win
that feel on the
5.
bottom who can win? That's an important thing. Like,
Yeah. So we're going to,
getting towards
might
endgame.
see that in episode 5, the episode, like I
Yeah.
said, we're editing right now. What is there going to be paranoia that comes into play? Is it just going to be super straightforward? Are they just going to go for Kevin? Who knows? And that's
Right.
something to see next time. But going back and kind of like the final moments of episode 4, which I absolutely love, is when I asked Jack to give me his bandana. He does, and he throws it back to Kevin. And as he's walking off, I try to shake his hand, and he doesn't even see me. Hey, it just it was like I said, Survivor's just like perfectly unscripted. Like I couldn't have made that moment up if I tried. It was just so funny. It was so hilarious, and it was a perfect ending to his story on Rutgers
game
Survivor.
too. Yeah.
And Jack was awesome. Jack was so funny, and because I mean we've been doing this every episode. I think we got to again the fan favorite, Lewis. Do you think it would be Jack at this point for this one?
Like for the people, like overall, or like people that
fan favorite kind of for this. Oh, for this episode.
From this last episode. Who did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He definitely is the fan favorite for this episode.
Jack,
easily.
so congratulations. He won 2, right? He got the first one, I think for episode 1.
So I think he's only one because unfortunately, for better or for worse, we've been following a trend to basically just whoever gets eliminated has been getting it.
Yeah. But it's okay, Jack. You did an amazing job, man. You were so funny. If they do, I'm not saying when because I don't know. We're not on the e-board anymore. If they do a returnee season and you're still there, please apply.
He should return. I feel like he
I'm
had a
sure,
lot.
I'm sure everyone would love to see what he's up to.
And another great thing to note about Jack is that this guy, I didn't know this until after. This guy did not know the first thing about Survivor. He just thought it would be a fun thing to do. Like he was only a freshman. Like you saw, and that I think also isn't what helped his case in the game because he wasn't as well versed as say Kevin, who's a super fan, on what type of strategy is best and what to do. He was just there to ruffle feathers and have a good time. And as a viewer, I mean, that's excellent. Big thanks to Jackie. He's been a great help.
And that's something we don't really see now on normal Survivor because that kind of era of the show, because they're 47 seasons deep, which is insane. Maybe Rutgers Survival will get to 48. We don't know. But 47 seasons deep, everyone on the show is practically a super fan, or at least they're vaguely familiar, like not even vaguely. I'd say they're extremely familiar with the show. Whereas if you go to the premiering seasons, season 1 through All Stars, you have some players, okay, maybe not all stars, but you know what I mean. You have these players who have no idea what this game is, and they bring into that, their fresh perspectives on the game. And that's what Jack really brought, I thought.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes better. Like I think sometimes if you go in to like having, I mean, I don't know, coming from like playing College Survivor, I feel like the player that won didn't even like wasn't a super fan. Like the players that did like decently well were like the ones that were not like super like hardcore fans, because like those hardcore fans are a little cuckoo. But
I wouldn't say cuckoo, but they just get lost a little bit in the books. And that's
they were trying too hard because they wanted it so bad.
And we saw that with Joe. In episode 3, that's what happened with Joe. Joe is a super fan. He's been watching the episodes. He's played a lot of the Discord Survivor games. So I'm sure, like I said, he might have gotten a little lost in the books with these players who weren't as familiar with the show, just had fresh perspectives. And like you have someone like Jack who's never probably seen, maybe even at that point, Adam, he's never seen an episode of Survivor in his life, lasted longer than Joe, which is really weird. But that's what happened on Survivor sometimes,
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like also a lot of it's like the social part too. Like that's like such a big and now I'm thinking back to like the episode. Like I feel like that's what is like giving like how people are lasting longer. It really is like that social game and like keeping those connections.
And that was Jack's undoing. It was his greatest asset, but that kind of outspoken, like clashing with Boston Green earlier in the season, and just and being that funny guy who doesn't really who's even said he doesn't know that much about the show compared to everyone else. Like so it helped him to an extent, but you're right, it's a social game at the end of the day, and maybe they got him out before Kevin because they saw Jack as more of a threat if he made it to the end.
I also think even going back to episode 1, they were saying that Jack could have presented more as a physical threat. So, if there were more challenges down the line that produced a physical element, that might have also played into their part, thinking like, oh, the chance that he survives and does a physical challenge, he probably has a better chance than Kevin at winning. So we need to get out him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Let me think. Is there anything else with I don't know, because like I said, this episode was pretty short, because it was seemingly pretty dry, at least comparatively to episode 3 Merge.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
So then I guess I'm just curious, Ben, Lewis, from your perspective, just highlight the whole season for us. Like, what have been your favorite episodes, favorite parts? Like, just take us through your perspective, honestly.
Yeah, well, I think the best episode I have to say was episode like the last episode, the merge episode. So fire! Like, I did not know who was going home, and like that was a really well done episode. I like that one a lot. I think overall, I think it's entertaining. Like, it really is. Like, I feel like the way it's like edited is really good, and like I think the way we're able to like hear people's like confessionals are really good too. And just like the level of strategy is good. Like, that's what I like. And I like that you can like see like some people, like it feels like it's just so like open, like just like people are literally like talking like on like the field and everything. And I kind of like that. But yeah, I think my favorite moment has to be the episode 3. That blindside was really good.
With the merge flip, that was pretty crazy.
That was good.
Being there, being there is another thing.
That
like,
must have been
watching it.
Well, I was gonna say, like, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. So like, as hosts and like production, like, what do you think has been your favorite part of the process, and what's been like the most like challenging part, you would have to say?
Wow. I didn't expect to be asked a question.
Ooh, Peter, yeah, we have different.
I'm gonna turn it back because you guys put so much into it. It's like we should talk about you guys too. Like, it's important.
You know what? I appreciate that, Peter.
Adam,
it's okay. First. I'm gonna go first, and then
go first. I need to think.
So for me, I think the most challenging part of this doesn't play into the role of host nearly as much, but just still trying to be impartial behind the camera, because obviously as people were eliminated and the season's over, like we started doing watch parties at our house in the spring for like actual Survivor, and we became friends with a lot of these guys. But as it was going on, you can't show too much bias, if any at all, because it could put a bigger target on their back. It could compromise the integrity of the game, you name it. So like, it was hard because we had to be strictly professional, but we didn't really want to be, because we were as invested in the game as them. And that's the other difficult part, knowing that like we, for better or for worse, myself, Peter, and Max, we started this because we knew there was significant interest in people wanting to do something like this. And at least me and Peter, we never got to play because our butts were out the door at Rutgers by the time we would even have another opportunity. So that's the most bittersweet thing. But I guess the coolest part of all of it, as I just alluded to, was just being able to meet more fans of the show. Like, Rutgers is a massive campus. I think if you include graduate students, there's like 70,000 people in New Brunswick or something. So we knew the interest would be there. It was just a matter of finding those fellow fans and people who would have that same common interest. And whether it was earlier or later on, finally getting to more be friends with the cast members, being able to meet those people, and also just the satisfaction of knowing we set something to this caliber up, where it has a foreseeable future. They're working on starting season 2 right now without us, which is crazy. But the fact that we started something special, and I know I say this all the time, we started this, and I couldn't be more proud of it.
That's important.
And 1 year ago, thank you. And 1 year ago today, actually, today's September 22nd. 1 year ago today was our season 1 general interest meeting, our first meeting in person for Rutgers Survivor of any kind.
Damn.
The meeting where we got 12 random people to buy into what we were selling. The moment that 12 people actually said, all right, I like these crazy guys, I want to play the game, let's do it. And that leads me.
And we were so honest with the fact that we had no clue what we were doing or how we were going to do it. People were asking us questions like, what's the prize? We don't know yet. How often, what days are you going to film? We don't know yet. We were just some crazy guys with an idea and a dream, and thankfully enough people signed on.
And And that, like I said, that leads me into kind of, Lewis, answering your question about me. If I had to pinpoint a specific moment that was my favorite,
Yeah.
it probably would have to be episode 2 when I shout, let's go for immunity, sending Warbling to tribal council tonight, where someone will be the second person voted out of this game. Voorhees has it, sending Warbling to tribal council tonight. In that moment, I felt like Jeff Probst. That was like being able just to feel the energy of the game, and just knowing that, you know, like I'm kind of like the order of the game, and I keep things going, and I make sure that the game is stable and, you know, able to function. Just screaming, Voorhees has it, sending Warbling to tribal council. I felt like it was almost like an out of body experience. Like I was watching Jeff say that, like, you know, Tuku sends whatever tribe to tribal council or whatever the tribe, you know what I mean? Like that, if I had to pinpoint a moment, would be my favorite. But in general, being host is just, it's just so much fun. You know, there's always that balance, like Adam is saying, between being interested in the game and then influencing the game. Because, you know, I think I mentioned this before, but, you know, having, you know, I have biases, obviously. You know, I want certain people to go home. I want certain people to win. I want certain people to do well in a challenge or whatever. But I can't let that interfere with the game. And that is something super hard to balance as host. But just being there and knowing that, like, you're at any moment you could say, all right, guys, all right, let's move over here. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get the game to seem even better, look even better, you know, like scramble, set up everything, you know, just being that part of the puzzle is just, it was so awesome. It was just so cool. Like half the time during the cuts, I just couldn't stop smiling because I was like, we're actually doing it. We're actually doing Rutgers Survivor. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, do you think you would ever, like, would you want to play rather, like, would you rather
host? Oh, dude, yes, of course. That's why I did this. Dude,
I know. I had to ask.
Yeah, like, for those of you who don't know, because me and Adam have only said it 18 times. Who would you guys align with? Yeah, we made this club for the people because we wanted to play. Me and Adam and Max wanted to play, but there was no club, so we built it from the ground up. If I got the chance to play in a game, I would absolutely love to. And then start
like a fun weekend activity. Wait, that would be a fun like weekend activity. Like do like a mini Survivor. Like get like 8 people.
I'm not lying. I've thought about potentially, you know, after all, you know, I'm in the workforce for a couple years and I'm kind of settled.
Oh, I'm down.
Together, we get together and get an in-person weekend Survivor game.
I'm in.
They do. It's like a thing, bro. Like, I mean, those things that do that.
And I'd love to play. Hopefully, we'd get a different host. You know, but
no, you would not.
That would be. I've been thinking about it because, like I said, after all these years, I still haven't played. But who knows how well I'd probably go out if I came back for a Rutgers alumni season, which I don't know the reality of that. To be honest with you, though, like the reality of that is so slim because think about it, right? They're obviously I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but doing a returnee for season 2 is probably not the best type of look. So I don't think they're doing a returnee season for season 2, but for Rutgers Survivor at least. So even when they did do a returnee season, if I'm like 25 and I'm playing like with 20-year-olds and they're like, yeah, oh, I hate
18, like they could be 18, bro.
I know, yeah, but this is like class, you know, they'll be like talking about math class. They'll be like, yeah, my mortgage is so high, you know, like it
yeah, you're like my wage, like where's my wage at though?
Yeah, it doesn't work. So I'd love to play, and I'm sure Adam would definitely love to play too.
My question is, who would you align? I don't know if this spoils, but who would you align with in the season?
I can't say that. Why would I say that? I'm not going to say. No, I'm not going to say that.
You're not even going to say align with each other. You know, keep it two targets safe. Wow.
No.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say.
I would align with Matt.
Lewis, I won Senior Assassin on the ideology. Don't tell anybody anything.
Okay.
We went to prom.
I'm keeping that in mind for Weekend Survivor, Peter. You're gonna block people.
We went to.
Lewis, we gonna gang up on him now?
We went to prom house over the weekend, and I didn't want to tell anybody anything where I was or.
Oh my god! Yeah, that was crazy.
But hey, it paid off. I won that game, and maybe that will translate into a good thing. But no, I'm not going to say anything.
People, they're going to like target
Adam, I might want to align with you, but I'm not going to say that now. Definitely not.
Okay.
What about you, Adam? Adam, who are you going to align with? What were you going to say?
You know what? How about I say I'm going to align with everyone? Because if I align with everyone, I'm aligning with no one. How's that? So I just answered the question without
Well, if
answering
you
it.
align with everyone, I'm sure nobody will have a problem writing your name down for the first vote to go. So, all right.
Okay.
It's
you know
all
what?
right.
As long as I outlast you, we're good.
That's honestly, if me and Adam
Find
played
out.
in the
We'll
same
find
season, that's my goal, Lewis. If me and Adam played in the same season, I don't care if he went out first and I went out second, I still won.
You have to not lie.
Anyway, all right. I think
The
this
$1
has
million
been-
question, but one thing that will need to be answered, like the Rutgers Survivor lore, which one of us can outlast each other?
That will hopefully be answered one day. But if you look at the game night records, I think it's already been answered. But anyway,
Boo. Wow.
all right,
Okay,
all right.
no,
That's enough. That's enough. All right, guys, it has been an absolute blast having both of you on. Lewis, thank you so much for bringing your perspective from the game as a viewer and a player at another school. And Adam, I'm wishing you the best at Columbia with what you're doing. And thank you so much for taking the time and coming out here and being on the podcast again and just talking about what we love and what we love. Rutgers Survivor. Yes, Lewis knows it. Lewis knows it. So thank you guys. This has been On the Raritan, episode 4 with your host, Peter Slattery. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.